everyone, welcome to another video. It's that time of the year again where I get to migrate into my next bullet journal. This will be my 5th bullet journal, guys. I am shocked. I'm shook. Whenever I first started bullet journaling, I never thought I would actually stick with it because, you try a lot of things and a lot of them just you don't stick to. Well, I didn't think I would stick with this. I figured it would be too much work with my schedule, blah blah blah. And here I am at my 5th bullet journal in a little over 2 years. So, I loved this journal. This is one of my favorite bullet journals I have had so far. Everything turned out almost exactly how I wanted. You always want your bullet journal to look perfect or aesthetically pleasing. Well, I don't know about aesthetically pleasing, but my bullet journal did work very, very well for me this time around, and I think this is the closest to planner piece I've ever been. So I have a few spreads to show. So the first one is this one. So at the end of every bullet journal, I try to make this spread. It's just this BuJo, next BuJo spread. It's basically my massive planning page for my next bullet journal. And this could be, if you wanted to try this could be super simple, like this worked, this didn't, and then you just go on with your life. But for me, of course, I have to do everything extra. So pretty much this whole page is just reviewing all of these pages in here. The S column, I have my index, which is finally clicking for me. It's only taken 4 bullet journals for the index to finally work for me. My future log, notice my Calendex didn't make it. I didn't even use it, really. Just some collections from the front, my collections from every monthly, and then I kind of broke it down to certain spreads, certain things I added to my months. This is basically just almost a style planning page, just so I can pinpoint what worked, what didn't, and what I need to improve as I move on to my next journal. And this is obviously way higher tech than it probably should be, so don't think anybody has to do this. If you just wing it every day in your bullet journal, then you just wing it, that's fine. But I like assessing how I'm doing because I want to get the most out of my journal and be the most productive I can be. So this left side is basically, like it says, this BuJo, just all of this basically, and there will be a flip through video coming for this journal because I love it. And then my next bullet journal spread is basically, I went through all of my collections on Instagram and I made a whole new collection in there that was for my next bullet journal. I had one from the last time I had used it. I basically just emptied it out and started over and got all these ideas from the different collections I had, all the posts I had saved. So that's what I started out with. I started out with basically this, and this little section is basically just the collections I wanted to try for the front of my bullet journal. This wasn't like all the things I want to try in the next 7 months and all of my months. Like, that's not what it is. It's basically just all the collections I thought about having for the front of my bullet journal. So after curating this list, I have this section over here. I actually stole this idea from Sunshine and Stationery. Caitlin, my bae, she always does these like little pages and then she numbers them and she lists them to the side. I'm pretty sure that's how she does it. I know she does these little like pages, so that's what we're going with. And I basically just numbered each one, 1 through 14 down here. I added some at the last second. And then I think I actually I added them during the planning process and then I took them out whenever I listed them. Just for my visual brain, I made these thumbnails, and then I kind of, in pencil first, wrote in tentatively how I wanted the order to go, because for me, the collections inside, just for my main bullet journal, the collections in the front have to make sense. Like, my savings and my goals need to be next to each other. Like, those two just, in my mind, go together a little bit better than if I were to put my travel adventures next to my savings. But I mean, that would work too. So it's basically just how it works in my head. So this was just another visual for me, just so I can kind of figure out how I want them set up. And then I made a list over here with an updated version of this because, of course, the second I inked it in, I changed my mind. So I made another one over here because I just can't make up my mind. And then, after that, I made these and changed this list as well. So basically what I did was I just took sticky notes. I got these from a pen pal, I believe. I want to say I got these from Caitlin, actually. And I literally just, on my desk, just stuck them in order, and it just made it easier for me to kind of maneuver them around, move them around, and that's how I found the placement I wanted for all these spreads. So that's basically how my planning process went. A little bit chaotic, but I change my mind constantly, especially when moving into a new bullet journal, because it sucks when you have spreads. Well, here's my index. I did a video on my index too, if you want to go ahead and watch that. I need to update it, actually. But it sucks whenever you have all these front collections and then you don't use them. So whenever I plan my next bullet journal, I really, really want it to work. I really, really want the spreads I truly think I'll use. And honestly, I thought I would use all these. I use this more than I use my Calendex, so I just have this style in my next bullet journal. I didn't even use these two. I really thought I would, but I didn't. My YouTube workflow, I just have 2 lines left, and I will probably fill it by the end of this month. My savings goals I used every single time. My reading tracker. I actually have a separate journal for just my reading now, because since I'm able to read a lot more and I have my Bookstagram, I really wanted just a separate place for it. So I'm using the tracker I saw from Rachel May on Instagram. And I was originally going to put it here, but then I read a lot more than I thought, and instead of catching up here, I had put it in my collections bullet journal, and then I never looked at my collections bullet journal, so I have this insert. And I already have it all filled out. I went back to where I pretty much started. August 2017 was when I started reading a lot more, and I just added it in, and this is where I've left off. And I'm currently reading 2 books, about to finish another one. So basically, it just shows over here the month color. So, for example, 13 Rising, I read from November to the December. And then I also read Fairest in December. So you can see, like, what books I read when and how long it took me to read them. So, obviously, like Sky Clan's Destiny, I read part of it in August, finished it in September. Then I read Howl's Moving Castle all in September, and then I started Nefertiti in September, finished it in October. So hopefully that makes sense. It just looks really pretty when it's all done, and I can choose whatever colors I want. And I don't believe I'm gonna, like, fill this entire thing, but it'd be really cool if I did. It'd be really cool to look back on. And this way I can do, like, book club spreads. I can just do book-related things in here. And if need be, I could just buy more inserts, because this was my last one. So that is now in here. And that just stays at home with me. And then my goals page. I kind of looked at this, but I feel like I can't have a bullet journal without a goals page. So I'm going to have this again. I am having the same format with my 101 and 1001, which is actually ending at the end of April. And I'm nervous, guys. I don't think I'm going to make it to the end with finishing everything. But these, I basically have almost a full page of 101 and 1001 goals that I'm going to really try and work on And then I have some miscellaneous goals down here that are just not in my 101 and 1001, but I still want to work towards. So that's what that is, and this will be just another 6-month one, 6 or 7 month. So that will be what I'm also adding to my lineup. The last time I really like this one. Don't judge me with how long I took to do laundry, but I really like this. I have it set up a little bit differently in my next bullet journal. Not a whole lot different, but just a lot more organized and not as cluttered looking. So that's also one I'm gonna have. And I also have some blank spreads just in case I need to add some, because originally I ended my pages up to here. And I later added this one. I want to say I added this in like April or May, because I just stretched it back to December. So in my next bullet journal, it will start in October, which is when my next bullet journal will start. So again, just a little bit different setup that way. I just wanted to push it back a little bit so I could see progress. So if we flip back here, I added and tweaked a few things. So there's really not as many as I thought there would be. So that's good. Downsizing is always good. And then I'm also going to leave a few blank pages. So let's go ahead and meet my new bullet journal, which is also an A5 hardcover artist loft journal that's dot grid. So my new one, it's so crazy too to see, like, because I don't paint, I don't do a whole lot of extra stuff in mine, but just to see how washi tape and just use makes it fluff up a lot, it's kind of insane. So put this one away, and here's my new bullet journal. I really like the artist loft. They're in my budget, they're super cheap, they're really good quality, and they just work for me. It's awesome. So this will be my intro page, and then all of my penciling starts here. So I will go ahead and time lapse you guys, and I hope you enjoy.